All right, thank you for staying with the Monday Report. Town Hall session begins right now. You can send in all your questions at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Monday Report. The biggest question is the IEBC ready for the elections, which is just 120 days from now? You can also send in your video questions. I'll try and squeeze them in as much as I can. You can also call in, by the way. I'll take the first 3 or 5 callers. As soon as you call in, we'll take your call on this. Francis Wanderi is here with us. He's the IEBC Commissioner. Thank you so much for making time for us, sir. So, how prepared is the IEBC from where you stand?
Thank you, Trevor. IEBC is prepared for the elections. And the preparation for the election, the first thing you need to do is to have your register ready. And as of now, we have our register ready. And last week, on Thursday, we signed the contract with the company, the audit firm that is going to do the audit of the register. And that work is in progress. That is the most important document for the preparation of the elections, because without the register, you do not have an election. Okay. So that is done.
When is this audit meant to end?
Within the next maximum 21 days. Okay. The register should have been audited. We have negotiated with them to do it within 14 days, but we can give them another 7 days, and that should be ready within that time.
IEBC was allocated 21.7 billion in the budget. Will that suffice?
That, in the current budget, the 21.7 billion was an addition to what has been allocated to IEBC before. So as of now, we can say, without any shade of doubt, that IEBC has been fully funded by Treasury in terms of its requirement. There's a bit of money that is going to be used next financial year, particularly after the elections, for the payment of about 500,000 election officials who will be hired at the time we are conducting the elections. So IEBC is comfortably funded by Treasury. The shortfall that may be there will be funded by development partners, and we have been talking with the development partners in terms of the gap that is there, and there are a lot of them are willing to support IEBC.
Okay. There was a report earlier on that there are about 11,000 polling stations that still do not have network. Is this still the case, though that is not exactly your docket, but how is IEBC going to deal with that?
No, it's okay. So it's our docket. IEBC is in charge of the elections. It's in charge of the network. IEBC must make sure that all the polling stations have network. Yeah. As of 2017, over 10,000 polling stations did not have network. The latest information we have from Communication Authority of Kenya, the Communication Authority is that only about 260, slightly more than 260 polling stations are not covered, and the Communication Authority is working to make sure that every polling station is covered by 3G network.
So right now there are 290, that is?
About 260.
260.
260 out of the 10,000.
Out of the 10,000.
And the reason why it is that is because some of the new polling stations that have come up because of the new registration of voters, some of them are not quite clear, and we will be able to give the GPS locations for those polling stations to the Communication Authority, and they will be able to help us.
So are you saying now that by the 9th of August, all the election results will be transmitted electronically without any of them going manual?
Hopefully.
Hopefully is not a very...
okay, let me put it this way. The Communication Authority has promised that we will be able to get the 3G network in all the polling stations. However, we have a problem in certain areas, security-prone areas, where not even the Communication Authority can be able to reach. So that's why I said hopefully.
Okay.
Otherwise, overall, I think you have done very well.
Okay. All right, so there's still a bit of questions coming through here. Let me read some of them. Arena Nyakwaroketo says, good evening, Trevor. My question to Commissioner Wanderi is, what measures have been put in place to ensure that the coming August 9th general election will be free, fair, transparent, and credible without malpractices like the ones observed last time?
I think that is a very good question. And I would like to go back a little bit to explain our election process, which a lot of Kenyans don't understand. One, I will start by saying that our election process is manual.
Yeah.
The only area we use technology is when you have to identify, to register a voter, because that is the time you use the biometrics to register a voter, then to identify a voter during the election day, and 3, during the transmission. Now, we have been able to register all the voters, and all the voters will be identified by biometrics. In areas whereby probably because of the nature of your work, for example, people work in quarries and other places, mechanics, they may not be able to be identified through their biometrics. The only way that is provided for you to be identified is using your ID. So if you have your ID,
yeah,
even if you cannot be identified through your biometrics, they will enter, the officials will enter your details, your ID details in a KIMS kit. And once that is done, your details will come out.
Okay.
That way you'll be allowed to vote. What does that mean? If you're not in the register, you cannot be able to vote. You cannot be able to be identified. Now, from there, the only other place that the technology is used is during the transmission. And what happens during the transmission is that the election is concluded at the polling station, and the votes at the polling station, according to law, are final. Nobody can change that.
Okay.
And that, you fill the form, result. You fill the form, it will be signed by the agents. And once the agents have signed, that image of that form will be taken,
yeah,
and transmitted. All right? And after the 2017 presidential ruling that nullified the elections,
yeah,
you are required that after that has been done, the returning officer at the constituency polling stations is required to deliver the original from all the polling stations at the constituency to the National Tallying Center.
okay.
So what I'm saying is there is no room for manipulations, because once you set the image, there's no way you can interfere with that image. The system is such that you cannot interfere with that image. During the last election,
yeah,
there was a provision that where you cannot transmit, you said text. Even where you could transmit, you still sent text. And that is where there was a lot of controversy, whether the text information that had been transmitted or sent could have been interfered with. Okay. So the Supreme Court ruling now, because it's a final decision of the court, is now how we shall transmit results. So I want to assure Kenyans that there will be no way one can interfere with those elections or interfere with the results as they are transmitted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Paul Nzengu Nzeveka says, for the people in the diaspora, how will the voting process work out?
The same way it was working in the country. There will be officials. The results will be transmitted from every polling stations. And in this particular case, when we talk about polling station in diaspora,
yeah,
it is within our embassies. The results will be transmitted the same way. They are transmitted electronically.
yeah,
And then the presiding officer at that polling station will be required to take the next plane and deliver the original document with the results to the National Tallying Center. That is for the presidential, because the people at the diaspora will only vote for the presidential elections.
Okay. Let's bring another tweet here coming from Lynette Wasonga. Let's bring that up and see. She says, Kenya has a history of violent elections dating back to 1992. The causes are assumed to be ancestral land rights, economic inequalities, skewed allocation of resources, among others. How prepared are they to manage elections of this scale? I think that question was answered earlier on in terms of preparations. Let's bring up another one there. See what you're saying. Eric Nambasaba says, IBC, are you people ready to conduct free, fair and verifiable elections, or should we prepare for another battle in court after 9th of August? I think that too has just been answered. Let's see what else is coming through. Churchill Omondi says, how will IBC consortium ensure that the integrity is not compromised? Commissioner Nderi.
Okay, thank you. First and foremost, IBC knows a consortium.
Of course.
It is a commission, independent commission to conduct the elections. We work with our agents, we work with the Kenya Police, we work with the Kenya Police Service, we work with other agencies of government to make sure that there's peace during elections. And you have heard several times the Minister for Interior, the CS for Interior, saying that they are going to ensure that there is peace during the elections.
Yeah.
We as a commission, we have put the systems in place to ensure that there will be free, fair, and verifiable process. What do I mean by this? What we intend to do is that in all the 290 tallying centers, which are the constituencies, we intend to partner with the media to ensure that there will be media representation in all 290 constituencies, so that once the elections are announced, then the media picks those results. What you will not allow is anybody, whoever you are, to announce any other result than the ones announced by IBC.
Okay.
It means that even the candidates, they will pick and they pick the results announced by IBC.
Okay.
They can go ahead and tally their results.
Okay.
But only the results announced by IBC through the media. So that way we want to make sure that it is free, fair, and verifiable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crispinas Adams says, must one vie in an area where she or he did not register as a voter? For example, if you're registered in Nairobi, are you allowed to run in Mombasa?
Yes, the law allows that as long as you are registered anywhere in this Republic of Kenya as a voter, you can vie anywhere else.
Okay.
You do not have to vie where you're registered. If you are registered in Nairobi, you can vie in Mombasa as long as you are a registered voter. Okay. The law allows that.
He continues to ask, is there still some room to allow transfer of registered voter to another center?
As of now, IBC has not closed the registration of voters, but that is being done at the constituency offices. If you want to transfer your votes to another polling station, you go to the constituency center, our constituency offices, you'll be able to transfer. But I must add, this is within the very limited time. Probably this can come to an end any time now.
Okay.
And the IBC will set a gazette notice to say that the process of registration or transfer of voters of polling stations has been closed.
All right, let's bring in Solomon from Ruiru. Solomon is calling from Ruiru. Solomon, good evening.
Good evening, Trevor.
Yes, go ahead with your question or comment, Solomon.
Yes, my question is, why are we as I'm buying for Ruiru as an independent candidate?
Okay.
And my question is, why are we as independent candidates being asked to collect signatures?
Okay.
And attach the photocopies of the IDs of our supporters, while that have not been happening?
Okay. Commissioner Nderi? Why are independents being asked to bring in the list of supporters while all the other aspirants are not being asked?
No, all candidates, independent or party-sponsored candidates are required by law to bring a list of their supporters with signatures. For the presidential, you need to get 2,000 registered voters for your party from the 24 counties. For you as a member of parliament, I think it's 2,000 registered members within your constituency. And they must submit that. That is part of you to be qualified as a candidate. Okay. And that is the law.
So for the president, it's 2,000 in all the 24 counties, or cumulatively, or in each and every county?
In each county. Okay. At least within 24 counties, you must have 2,000 members who are supporting you, and they must be members of your party.
Okay. But is this adhered? We haven't seen any of this happening right now.
Yeah.
Are they adhering to this regulation?
We are still yet to register the candidates. Right now, we do not have candidates. We have aspirants.
Yes. And
the aspirants are going around making their campaigns and doing whatever business they want to do. But from the 29th of May to the 7th of June, that is the time we are going to register candidates.
So this number of 2,000 is across board, counties, whether it's a governor?
If it is a governor, it's within your county. If you are an MP, it's in your constituency. If you are a presidential candidate, it's within 24 counties.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Mwai Wakarioki says there are youth who will be receiving the identity cards as we near general elections date. Can they register to vote on the 9th of August polls?
Anybody who wants to vote in 9th of August must do it now. Like I have just explained, it is now being done at the constituency offices. Once we close, there will be no more registration at all. So if you not have registered, there's no more registration. Once we gazette that the registration has closed or the transfer has been closed, there will be no more registration at all.
Okay. Moreno from Busia is coming through on call. Moreno, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, go ahead with your question or comment, Moreno.
How about the rigging claims? How about the rigging claims that I heard some of the politicians talking about in their campaigns?
Okay. Moreno is wondering, how about the rigging claims that we've had some of the politicians speaking about in the campaigns?
Well, let me put it this way. Politicians will talk about what they want to talk about, and we have no control on what they are going to say. But we as IBC, we are definite that we will make sure that any rigging is not possible.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what the politicians say. What we want to do is to ensure that the elections cannot be rigged. And as I explained the process of the elections, I would want anybody to challenge how it can be rigged.
Okay.
Because I don't think it is going to be easy or possible for somebody to be able to do that.
Okay. Boni Mwangi says, are you doing electronic transmission or manual?
We will be doing electronic transmission, and we also follow it up with the manual for purposes of verifying the elections that were cast at the polling station are final, and they are the same results that were transmitted to the National Tallying Center for the presidential, the county tallying center for the governor, Senate, and the women rep, and to the constituency for the Nini. But the only results are transmitted electronically are for the president. Those are the ones that are transmitted from the polling stations to the constituent tallying center and to the national tallying center. What I mean is, once the results are counted at the polling station, and according to the Menakiai ruling, those results are final. That means even the chairman of IBC cannot change the results from, let's say, Moi primary polling station. They cannot be changed. And they are transmitted from the polling station to the National Tallying Center. all right?
Okay.
And to the constituency tallying center for purposes of that. So there's no other way of transmitting the results.
Okay.
Then you'll be required to bring, from the constituency level, the returning officer will be required to deliver the original collated form for all the polling stations within that constituency. Will be required to bring the original to the National Tallying Center,
okay,
to be compared with the results that have been transmitted. And that original must carry the attachment from all the polling stations within that constituency.
Okay. There's a call from Abala in Majengo, right? Abala, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Trevor. How are you?
I'm very good. Go ahead with your comment or question, sir.
My question is just very simple.
Yes.
Let the commissioner clarify about this. Being a candidate and you can vote and you can vie anywhere.
Okay.
I remember Kate Kilonzo's case.
Yes.
Kate Kilonzo was registered somewhere in Ukambani, Eastern Province, and when she went to vie in Nairobi, she wasn't allowed to do that. There are court cases that hindered her to do that. Can the commission clarify that? Has it changed?
Okay. Commissioner Abala wants you to clarify on this issue of being registered in one place and vying somewhere else, and he's mentioning a case from Kathy Kilonzo, who was banned from running in a different position. You mentioned that you can be registered in Nairobi but vie in Mombasa.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he wants clarification on.
Let me clarify.
Yeah.
I think the question here is whether Kathy Kilonzo was really a registered voter. You see, when you go for registration as a voter, you are given an acknowledgement slip that you have been registered at that polling station.
Yeah.
And the issue of the Kathy Kilonzo was whether that was a valid acknowledgement slip or not.
Yeah.
Which turned out that it was not, which means she was not a registered voter. And that is why she could not be allowed to. So I think that is the argument allowed that.
Yeah.
However, if you are a registered voter in any polling station, you can vie. Right?
Except you wouldn't be able to vote for yourself, right?
You may not vote for yourself, but other people can vote for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's bring another question here. Van Ray on Twitter, let's bring that up, says, kindly ask Commissioner Wanderi, how did they appoint the ROs, the returning officers? Did they follow due process?
There's a procedure that is used by the Commission to post. In other words, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
All the ROs and their deputies are employees of the Commission.
Okay.
And if you have been in a polling station or in one constituency for a period of 5 years, or the period since the last election in 2017, the Commission requires that you need to be transferred to another place. This is to avoid the familiarity that as the head of the election in that particular constituency,
yeah,
you do not conduct the election there because for the last 5 years you have mixed with the politicians, you have done this.
Okay.
However, that's the criteria that they use, that every one of them must be transferred. Okay? However, there are quite a number of newly recruited returning officers or their deputies who, probably because they have been there for the last 1 year or less, it's not necessary for them to be transferred unless the Commission has a good reason to transfer them to another place.
Okay.
So what you're saying is there is a criteria that is used by the Commission. It may not satisfy everybody, and the Commission is ready to address any issues that may be there individually that may affect your work.
Okay.
For example, if you have, for example, a sick child or parents you are taking care of in that particular place, you may not be transferred too far. There are some criteria that the Commission uses.
Okay.
So those are the criteria used. However, all the issues that have to do with anybody who feels that he needs to be attended to for his personal reasons, human reasons, then the Commission will be able to address to that.
Okay.
So the window is still open for discussion and see how we can deal with it.
Okay. Commissioner, I have to take a quick break here. There's so many questions. I'll try and squeeze in as many of them as possible right after the break. All right, keep them coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Monday Report. I believe I can still manage to take maybe 1 or 2 more calls when we come back from the break. All right, see you in a bit.